And 2 hot days this week, really, really hot. Yesterday, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they said it was the hottest day that we'd had all year. The heat index was like 115, and then the storms came through, and this morning felt kind of refreshing. Yeah, but it didn't last very long with that. But anyway, we're right here in August, and some people are saying I can't wait till fall. And it won't be many days in the fall. Somebody's going to be saying, I sure wish it'd warm up. And so can't ever satisfy everybody. But anyway, tonight we're going to be in 1 Timothy chapter 6, 2 Timothy chapter 4, and Jude 3. Tonight we're going to be dealing with a battle. The battles of life. Sometimes we get overwhelmed when you put the things before you. I, I really don't know why it doesn't happen to me more than it does, but you know I'm a list person. I carry my laptop with me about everywhere I go, and y'all can laugh if you want to, but it works. And Katie always asks, or usually asks something about, did you get anything marked off your list? And because she knows when I get it done, I mark it off, I mark it off, I mark it off. But usually by the end of the day, I've started another list, and that list is much longer than the ones I get marked off. So it just keeps building and building and building. And if you look at it, it's like, why even try? And in life, we face things and battles and things, and we come to a point where we can be prone to quit, give up, and just say it isn't worth it. Why even try? Another response to the battles we face in life could be, we're going to do it, but we're going to do it in our strength. You'll fail if you do it in your strength. You'll fail if you quit. The battles that we face. Now, the battles that we face, number one is this, and that is the battles are real. They could be physical, emotional, spiritual. You could put a whole list of things. The things that you deal with in life, the battles you face, are real. Your battles are unique to you. They're yours. My battles are unique to me. But God calls us to fight. That may sound anti-Christian to some. But I can show you in the Bible where God calls us to fight. As a matter of fact, that's where we're going to start in 1 Timothy chapter 6. 1 Timothy chapter 6, then we'll go to 2 Timothy chapter 4, and then we'll go to Jude 3. In 1 Timothy chapter 6 and verse 12, I said that the battles we face are real, but God calls us to fight. In 1 Timothy chapter 6 and verse 12, it says, fight the good fight of faith. Lay hold on eternal life, whereunto thou art also called, and hast professed a good profession before many witnesses. Fight the good fight of faith. Turn, if you will, to 2 Timothy chapter 4. Very clear. Fight the good fight of faith. 2 Timothy chapter 4 and verse 7. Many of you know this verse. I have fought a good fight. Paul. I fought a good fight. I have finished my course. I have kept the faith. a good fight. Fight the good fight of faith. I have fought a good fight. And then in Jude 3, Jude 3, beloved, when I gave all diligence to write unto you of the common salvation, it was needful for me to write unto you and exhort you that you should earnestly contend for the faith which was once delivered unto the saints. Earnestly contend for the faith. Fight the fight. Notice again, back in 1 Timothy chapter 6, it's a good fight. 2 Timothy chapter 4 and verse 7, it's a good fight. And then when it comes to Jude 3, earnestly contend for your faith, I think that'd be safe to say we could classify that as a good fight. Now I know we have an older group here tonight, and I'm not sure it holds true for the females, but I think it holds true for most males in our age group, and that is, how many of you, when you went to school, there was a fight every now and then? Okay? I'm not going to ask how many of you were involved in that fight every now and then. School today is different. I mean, a fight in school today is much different than a fight in school when I came along. There were fights in school. It was not uncommon to be a fight in school. The difference was when it was a fight in school, it was usually settled with that fight. Now, I'm not an advocate saying go off and hit somebody, but most of the fights that I grew up around and grew up in school, it usually wasn't but a few hits involved. I mean, it was more talk, trash talk than anything. But what's a good fight? What makes up a good fight? The Bible says fight a good fight. What's a good fight? Do what, Miss Melba? Put all your effort into it. When you win, I tend to agree with that one, Brother Scott. Stand up for the truth. Get your point across. I'm with Scotty. I wouldn't want to get in a fight expecting to lose. Yeah, that doesn't mean I always win. But I don't want to get in a fight expecting that. In fact, if it's a fight I'm expecting to lose, I'm going to avoid. That's just my mindset. But a good fight. Anyone in here ever been trained as a boxer? Nobody? Why not? You don't like it? I don't want to get hit. I mean, if I was in a fight, I would say a good fight is one that I didn't get hit. Right? There was an evangelist. He was out of West Virginia. His name was Frank Pittman. He was a prize boxer in his youth. He later got saved in life. But when he was in his youth as a prime boxer, he had knockout tattooed on his hand. Knockout. He got saved and he started preaching. And it dawned on him that knockout he probably ought to do something about. And so he went back and had the tattoos cosmetically doctored on so it wasn't as noticeable. But to hear him tell some of the stories about fighting, you realize fighting for him, a lot of it was intimidation. I mean, I understand that, but a lot of people don't. He said it somebody talks trash to you, you don't let them get in your head, and he really he talked about it a lot. But he said another aspect of it is you got to be physically fit. You got to be prepared mentally, physically, and bigger. But I understood. But he said, you know what else that always helped? And I really hadn't. It's not something I would have thought about. But he said a long reach helps a fighter. A long wingspan. He said a short, runny fella, he don't stand a chance against a tall, long arm fella. And I'm like, that explains some things. You know, you can take somebody with a long arm, he can hold somebody away, you can swing all you want, you can't hit them. The physical features of someone, a good fight. Of course, we're thinking about boxing, you're thinking about a fight in that sense, but a good fight. Back in 2 Timothy chapter 4 and verse 7, it says, I have fought a good fight, I have finished my course, I have kept the faith. Back in 1 Timothy chapter 6 and verse 12, fight the good fight of faith. In Jude 3, earnestly contend for the faith. How do you fight a good fight for your faith? How do you fight a good fight for your faith? Ephesians chapter 6, verse 10, 11, and 12. When I start reading it, it will register to you as a very familiar verse. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Taking a stand for God. You stand to withstand. Stand to withstand. We often think about the best fighters, one that's very offense-minded, but taking a stand to withstand. Taking a stand to withstand. That's a good fight. Standing on the right things, standing for the right things, and standing the right way. Let's face it, if you go back in your lifetime and look, you'll see where those that you would identify as a Christian didn't stand like they should. They gave in. And it's hard. I think of those that are raising children. It's hard to stand up and say, this is what we're going to do. When your children come home and say, everybody is doing it, why can't I? It's hard. And I remember being told everybody else can do it, but that don't mean you will. Some of you know exactly what I'm talking about. The battle that you face is real. It could be physical, spiritual, emotional. The list goes on. The battle that you're in, whatever it may be, is to be fought in His strength, His power, His might, and not mine, and not yours. That's hard to do. I have fought a good fight. I've finished my course. I've kept the faith. Fight the good fight. The good fight, I believe, is found in 1 Samuel chapter 17, verse 47. It says this, "And all this assembly shall know that the Lord saveth not with the sword and spear, for the battle is the Lord's, and he will give you into our hands." This is David as he faced Goliath. He had the courage of a warrior, but he knew the battle was the Lord's. In other words, David knew he was just the instrument, but he was fighting the Lord's battle, and the Lord was fighting for him. That's the key to fighting a good fight, is to know that the battle is the Lord's. The last time I checked, how many battles do you think the Lord ever really lost? You know the story, sometimes when it seems like you lose, you really win. I'm not saying that I could give you examples where the Lord... I could see Jesus on the cross. I could see Satan saying he won, but then Jesus came back to life. I don't believe Satan really won that battle. The battle. We fight in his strength and not ours. Well, y'all ready for a 22-point message? How do you fight the battle? 22 points. The first 5, prayer. I just chose 5, prayer. Every battle we fight, we need to pray about. Five times. Pray, 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 pray. I think that's 5. Might have been 4. That's the first 5 points. Prayer. How many times you ever really just prayed about a battle that you were facing? You know, when we get in that battle, we get the going at it pretty good, we might be quick to say, "Lord, help me." Pray before the battle, in the battle, during the battle, around the battle, and even pray after the battle. Prayer. The second one, or that's the first 5, the next 5 are his power. His power. Not mine, but his. I can speak for me, and it has no reflection of anybody else in here. And that is this. Physically, I'm on a downhill decline. I'm going to say that again. Physically, I'm on a downhill decline. You say, why is that? What's wrong with you? Nothing. I used to be able to do things that I can no longer do. Physically, I used to be able to do things. What makes it worse is mentally, I still think I can. Know what I'm talking about? And then when I get started, I realize I can't. And then I look around and I see who's going to help. Am I the only one here like that? No. Again, mentally, I say, oh yeah, this is easy. Physically, as soon as I start, I'm like, you dummy. And the next thing is, help. It's his power. We fight battles in his power, not ours. Remember, the battle's the Lord's, especially when it talks about the good fight of faith. He will empower you to fight the good fight. He'll give you the strength. So the first 5 are prayer. The 6 through 10 are His power. His power. Is God's power limited? No. If His power, which it's not, is unlimited, then why don't we always use His power? Lack of faith? I'm going to tell a farming story. I know Charlotte's really going to like it. I bought, years ago, I got sold on John Deere tractors. When I was finishing up college in Wilson at Atlantic Christian, I was going to farm. I found a tractor between Wilson and where I live sitting beside the road for sale. And that's the tractor I was going to buy. I took my last exam in college right before Christmas. On the way home, I stopped, parked my vehicle, got on that tractor, and drove it home. Now, you don't understand that. It makes no sense to anybody here but me. I was the happiest person you could ever imagine. You think I was through with school, and I was on the tractor. That was a John Deere tractor. Wasn't long after that, that one, I bought another one. Had a guy helping me, and I remember it very clearly. I said, look, here's how I want you to drive this tractor. I got on it. I showed him where to put the throttle. I said, you can drive it all day like this. Put it right here, and you go. And he's like, really? I said, yeah. I said, now look, when you get in a little tight, when it starts to pull a little bit, you get in a little tight, I said, just reach over here and push it a little farther. Give it a little more throttle. I said, it'd take it. He drove it some, and up there at the country store one day, he told this. I'll never forget it. He told it. He said, yeah, boss man got a tractor. He said, all you got to do is keep pushing that lever. He said, I ain't never stopped it. He said, and I keep pushing that lever. We got back and got in the truck, and on the way back, I said, how far you pushed that lever? He said, I pushed it all the way. This might be a man thing. How many of you ever had a vehicle you had never just pushed it all the way? How many of you ever had a vehicle that you hadn't just pushed the throttle all the way? One time. Brother Jim hadn't done it. Well, they don't need to be around me. Some of you got that little grin on your face like, mm-hmm. That's His power. Every time you need it, He's got it. Just a little more. Just enough. Just enough to give you what you need. His power, His power, His power, His power, His power. Then the next 5. Number 1 through 5 was prayer. Number 2, or number 6 through 10 was His power. And 11 through 15 is His purpose. In all the battles you face in life, God's got a purpose. When in that battle, you don't care about the purpose. You want the win. You don't want to get hit. You want it to be over. But it's a purpose in it all. And I could tell you the purpose of just about every battle, if not at least every battle. I'm sure that every battle, God's purpose in it was for me to learn something. And it was to learn that He's got it. His purpose. Then you get 16 through 20. His provisions for the battle. His purpose, His provisions. While you're in the battle, He's going to give you what you need. And guess what? If you need a good whooping, He's going to give it to you. And you're going to wish you'd never got in that battle. And you're going to learn not to get in those battles. But He's going to give you what you need. Then you come to the last two. And I just made these 21 and 22. And you say, why did you do them that way? It was just something different to keep your attention. Your battle is to be dependent and expecting. Every battle you face, you are to be dependent upon the Lord. And that's what He wants. Every battle I ever faced, it was for me to depend on Him. Not only do I need to depend on Him, but I need to expect Him to fight the battle and win it. Especially if I'm going to fight the good fight of faith. Stand so we can withstand. Fight the good fight. Fight the good fight. Earnestly contend for the faith. But it applies to every battle we face in life. The battle is His. Folks, He faced a battle on the cross that you and I are going to face. He faced death. We say that's our biggest battle. My biggest battle is self. How do you fight yourself? Well, it's real simple. The Lord can fight that battle if I let Him. Prayer, power. We turn it over to Him like we should. I don't know what battle you're facing, but I know that we all face battles. Fight the good fight. The good fight is trust in Jesus. Thank you for joining us at Riverside Baptist Church, Kenly, North Carolina on a Wednesday night. The battles we face. Some people take the battles and turn from them. Some people take the battles and say, I can do it. Both of them will set you up for failure. God expects us to take the battle that He sends our way. And He will empower us to win it, to trust Him. All right.